Lord, bless all the faces.
All the talking
On
faces.
which they are written.
Can't you do that? Can't if it's intentional, you can offer a blessing through digital means?
I just did.
Like, what are you talking about? Baby, I'm sorry.
Boom. Okay.
Our Lady endured not.
We're going live.
Okay.
Somebody's watching us live.
Whoa.
Hello, and welcome to the Catholic Nerds for the second time tonight. This is your healing source for Catholic nerdery. This is Scott Smith. This is
Colby Allen.
Mary Reed.
And Cody.
And our special guest tonight, Father
Brent.
You're so good at this.
We know exactly what we're doing, I promise.
hailing from the Tri-City area of Morganza, Louisiana, St. Anne's Church. We appreciate you joining us tonight. We want to ask you about all your epidemic stories, but the loosely organized backbone of this podcast is pandemic movies. Our favorite pandemic movies, but also we're going to have a little Catholic Nerds trivia at the end, provided by some of our group members, and also the What You're Reading. So what do y'all want to start with? Mosquitoes everywhere.
Let's go ahead and start with pandemic stuff. I mean, we're in the midst of a pandemic. Why not start with pandemic movies?
Right. Well, our show is 6 weeks late to the kickoff of this event, so we figure why not jump in now?
Hey, we don't know when it's going to end, so we're right on time.
True.
I still say Easter will have marked the turn of the tide, but
Or the peak of the curve.
Yeah, in the middle of the flattening.
There you go.
So to start, let's ask Father Brent. Father Brent, what's your favorite pandemic movie?
Well, I mean, there's a list of movies that exist in pandemics. Being the central focus in the movie, I'm not real strong on that. Namely, I literally have seen 0 of them. I'll make a connection to the closest thing I can get to making a reasoned response of my favorite pandemic movie is Pandemic is right on the edge of epidemic. Epidemic sounds kind of like epidermis. Which reminds me of The Silence of the Lambs, which is a movie I have seen about somebody trying to make a skin suit.
Oh, God.
Dwight manages to take a CPR dummy and take its face off. Particularly. So yeah, that's where I'm gonna start.
That's your favorite one. All those people were catching death like crazy. Super contagious.
I would say don't feel bad, Father, because the majority of this list was made by Scott, which just really reiterates how big of a nerd he is compared to the rest of us.
Yeah.
This is true. This is true.
There's a high amount of nerdiness.
I can give my actual list of my prioritized list of the ones that I was given as options to rank. I can provide a response. just my own personal thoughts as to the rankings that they ought to be.
Go ahead. Let's pick it off.
You ranked 12 Monkeys first, right?
Yeah, I did.
Was that because of the 12 apostles? Is that why you did that?
Actually, I tried to go on and say for like. I noticed that several of them involved monkeys, and 12 Monkeys was the only one that actually was called Monkeys. So I think that deserved to be top ranked. And also that there were 12 of them. I mean, that just amplifies the reality of the importance of the monkeys. And then behind that, apes. I mean, because monkeys, apes, right? I mean, basically, right. Family. So Rise of the Planet of the Apes was next. I mean, as a man of religion, I felt like I had to put in the Seventh Seal because that sounded, kind of fun, religious overtone maybe there. Cabin Fever being next because I'm feeling that real bad right now. So I felt sentiment with that title. I felt that deep in my core. Outbreak, kind of a similar, like Cabin Fever, Outbreak, but then you swap the words and it's Breakout. So I think it was like a necessary following that I
progression
out of the cabin. And then I just kind of I didn't really know where to go from there. So Andromeda Strain just sounded fun to me. It's like colors in the sky and like drain of something. I don't really know. Contagion, just because I mean it sounds a little ominous.
It's probably the most relevant.
Probably, yeah, the most recent and relevant.
I Am Legend. Like that one needed to be humbled a little bit and not be at the top of the list.
Oh no.
He's frozen.
I'm frozen. Am I back?
You're back.
I'm back.
Oh, they have let me go. Excellent. So after I Am Legend has been humbled, then comes blindness because that's just no fun. And then there's got to be a last stand. So stand last. And that's my defense.
Boom. There it is.
That was way more logical than I was expecting.
Mic drop.
I think you're going to end up having the better commentary in all these movies, having not seen any of these movies.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I said don't judge a book by its cover. I mean, you can definitely judge a movie by its title.
Well, clearly. That just happened.
Well, when Scott said, like, we're going to rank our top 10 pandemic movies, we were like, Contagion. That's it.
That's it. I think that's the only one we've seen.
That's our 10 right there.
All right.
I'm Legend. I think we just kind of squeezed in.
Do you want to introduce the newest Catholic nerd?
We can. Yeah, we can.
Sure.
Here she is. Are you going to be nice? Are you going to be nice?
This is Therese, Catholic nerd.
We'll bring her back when she's in more of a
Less
talk.
fussy. Yeah. So, Scott, your top 10. Let's go. Let's do this
All right.
thing.
Well, not necessarily my top 10, but our the group has ranked as number 1 I Am Legend. We have 10 votes for that. Feel free, if you're tuning in now, to add some votes. You can vote for more than one.
Sure. Be sure to add your favorite pandemic movies in the comments.
And you need to vote right now because at present, Sharknado is number 3. And
What?
that's
Okay, so I have watched every Sharknado movie so far that I know exists. So
Somebody
that's
said we
1
weren't
through
gonna tell
5.
people that.
Maybe you weren't going to tell people that, but I am proud of this because those are great movies. Especially the first one where they used the same shot like 100 times. It's fantastic. The guy who lost his legs in the beginning, so good because you could see that he was clearly buried in the sand. Anyways, amazing cinematography, beautiful.
Does he get his
great
2 legs
storyline.
back for Sharknado 2?
Huh?
Does he get those 2 legs back?
Oh, I don't know. I don't
That
remember
would
if
be
he made it in there.
fantastic.
But I mean, come on. You've got sharks and you've got tornadoes.
And
What?
chainsaws and machine
Oh my
guns.
gosh.
The ending is the
I thought
best.
the pandemic was like a disease thing.
You think
Well,
so?
You think so, but
Wait, why is this even in here?
well, Scott said it was okay.
No, that's not what happened.
Sharknado was back on the board. Can we bring zombies back in?
Oh, that's chaos.
Yeah, if we can bring in sharks.
Off the bat, but
Well, if we are going to talk about zombies at all, then 28 days later and 28 weeks later, that is a virus. Do y'all remember what what virus they used?
What?
Is it
Ebola.
rabies? Oh, Ebola.
Yeah, they like
Was it really
What?
Ebola?
Yeah, they like twinned Ebola. They like paired it up with something else to kind of like an I Am Legend. You know, they to cure cancer. They
Yeah.
use a
Right.
virus. I'm gonna have a trivia question later on about that. So tuck it under the hat.
Gotta show up.
Got it.
Oh, but 28 days.
I'm
and
trying,
weeks
Father. I'm
later,
getting close to you.
That's a virus outbreak.
Yeah. I mean, there's some pretty good ones out there that even zombie movies where it began with a virus.
I thought almost all of them began.
Almost.
with
Well,
virus. Or
no, some of them just we don't know the cause of it. It just kind of happened.
People
The
just
dead rise
chose.
again, kind of thing. But I have to say a new one. Or I say new. Daylight's End. It's not a zombie movie particularly. It's more of a vampire movie, but it's like a vampire zombie hybrid, and it really quickly became one of my favorites after I watched it. If I'm getting the title of it right, but it's really
Yeah,
cool.
you are.
And just kind of an interesting concept. Probably the most creative thought on zombies in recent past.
Well, it's crazy because it's also Daybreakers, which is another like vampire-like epidemic.
Right, yeah, those are more vampires.
Yeah.
I'll say even vampirism was, I don't think it was a virus, but they considered it a germ
Right.
in a lot of the older text. They called it the vampiric germ.
Real quick, first of all, just to say hi to everyone who's watching.
Yeah, thank you for joining.
Thanks
We
for
meant to
joining
say
us.
hello
Oh,
as
yeah.
y'all were coming in,
Good thing to do.
but now there's quite a few of you. Also, David Dawson, is it Father David Dawson? From his profile pic, it looks like.
Deacon, soon to be.
Soon to be.
Soon to be.
He said the movie Rage.
Soon to be
I'm not
father.
familiar with it. Are y'all familiar with the movie
No.
Rage?
No.
Or is that a movie title? Or maybe he just has
Yeah, I think it's talking
Rage.
about the rage virus. 28 days
Probably the
later.
rage virus, yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Ah,
gotcha.
yes.
My bad.
That's right. From
Not
Daylight.
unlike the flare from Maze Runner.
Maze Runner, yeah.
And Benjamin Fulmer says that Twilight ruined vampires
Which is true.
for everyone.
This is absolutely
Yes.
true.
Okay.
It
Also
also
clarifying,
ruins
it says-
Mormonism. As opposed
Like-
It's clarifying, it says the virus in 28 days is called rage.
Yeah. Sorry, soon to be father.
Thank you.
Oh, I need to share this too.
Oh yeah, if y'all want to share these to your pages, that would be great. Speaking of zombie apocalypses,
Even though we said we weren't going to speak
Right.
of zombie apocalypses.
our bad.
Break all the rules.
We were mentioning briefly earlier that Father Brent was supposed to be our apocalypse priest, and that is not. So we had an agreement, a binding, solemn agreement that if the apocalypse started, I think we said specifically if the zombie apocalypse started,
yeah.
that Father Brent would come with us and administer the sacraments to us and our children. And this has been a long-standing agreement for like the last
Oh my gosh,
6,
it's been
7
8
years.
8 years.
Yeah. and here we are, and we're not getting no sacraments, right?
Oh no.
It has not panned out, but there's also no zombies, so
it has really not panned out.
So,
I mean,
multiple levels.
As soon as I see a zombie, you're not. I'm getting down.
Okay.
so great story about this apocalypse priest. So it was after a New Orleans
This is
ordination.
not gonna be as funny to everybody else. Okay, we
But
need to
it's
tell
great.
them really fast.
Okay, yes,
This is
okay.
not relevant.
So it's after a New Orleans ordination. We're meeting Father Matthew Graham's parents, okay? And we have Father Brent standing next to us.
Can I tell it?
Yes, Mary, tell
Okay.
it. Go.
We're gonna tell an embarrassing story about me. So Father Graham introduces me and Cody to his parents, and he didn't introduce Father Brent. In hindsight, I'm guessing maybe Father Brent already knew them, but I felt the need to fill the silence. And I was like, and this is our priest, Father Brent. At the time we were engaged, and he was gonna marry us. And they say, your priest? And I said, yes, he's going to be marrying us. And then there was silence, and you can't have that. So I had to fill it with something. And so I said, and also to these people I had just met. And also, he's agreed that in the zombie apocalypse, he's going to come with us and administer the sacraments to us and our children. And then there was a lot of silence thereafter. There was lengthy silence.
But this phrase was followed by Father Brent going,
Yeah. He was just nodding like, yep, that's right. And anyway, they were like, well, it was nice to meet you. And they moved on. And anyway, so that's the end of the story. Back to movies and not my most horrifying moments.
Well, I don't want to leave Father Brent plus zombie apocalypse just yet.
Excellent.
Because I don't know if the rest of the world knows, but Father Brent has also starred in a trilogy of zombie apocalypse novels.
This is true.
You
He
tell.
is Father Simeon in the Cajun Zombie Chronicles.
the
And I
Cajun
know this.
Tell
Zombie
us
Chronicles?
more.
Tell us more.
I know this because I'm the only one that has maybe read them, because I'm also
That's
the one who wrote them.
Didn't Abby Johnson
have you know-
read them?
No, she read the
I've
seventh
read them.
word.
You wait, who read them?
I said, didn't
I bought the
Abby
digital
Johnson?
copies and I've read them.
Father
Oh,
read them.
wow.
Totally read them.
I have not,
yet to read them
because I don't read zombies.
because I don't
It's
read.
quite amusing. It's quite amusing following the plot and knowing you and your family. You know, very easy to visualize.
I bet so.
Seeing everything around the area now with zombies crawling around it. I was like, yeah.
Boom.
Like, this is awesome.
Yeah. So maybe I noticed Cisco in the comments said that we're definitely Catholic, but he's doubting the nerd part. So maybe he's not doubting the nerd part anymore.
Yeah, I hope not. So we're nerds, but not computer nerds. So
Yeah, we have no skills.
yeah, we have no real skills. We just nerd out about certain things.
Meanwhile, Ben Fulmer said, Catholic nerds, no zombie talk on this podcast.
Nothing but zombie talk.
Catholic nerds later. So zombies. Pretty accurate.
Yeah. Let's try to move away from zombies since
Wait,
we said we were. Wait.
Did he say the name of your book again? The book, whose
No.
author I don't think we... What's the name of it again?
The Zombie Chronicle.
Cajun Zombie Chronicles.
Cajun Zombie
Book 1, The River Dead.
The river did.
Chronicle.
Soon to be an audiobook.
Chronicle.
Cajun Zombie Chronicles. And translated into Hindi.
Into what?
Indian?
Hindi.
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 It's getting
Has it
some
really been
good-
translated into Hindi?
not the
Wait,
language.
Hindi Audible or Hindi
Oh
text?
no, just the ebook, just the
But that's fantastic.
yeah,
There you go.
whatever.
That really
Well,
opens up your readership.
Well, yeah, it's like 2 billion people.
Right. Oh,
All right. So on the non-zombie apocalypse pandemics, My wife's laughing at me. Why are you laughing?
Can't imagine why.
We
There's a lot to laugh at. I mean, love.
Let's go over I Am Legend. I think most everybody's seen I Am Legend. Maybe not Padre, but okay. So Will Smith.
First off, let's stop there. Will Smith. How have you not seen the movie, Padre?
I got no response.
Exactly.
No answer.
Like Independence Day?
What?
No.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah.
Things.
Just less other actors.
It has one of my favorite interactions in a pandemic movie ever.
And?
Whenever one of the mannequins moves.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
When Will Smith has a fight with a mannequin.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
That is ridiculous.
You're selling me now.
Okay, so I've got, for all our viewers, I've got our first I Am Legend related Catholic nerds trivia question. Are y'all ready for this?
Try to answer it in the comments.
First one with the correct answer in the comments gets a virtual high five.
And if you're able to get all of these questions right, and it's somehow obvious to us that you did not cheat.
Google.
Here's the Catholic
But
part.
it didn't take 30 seconds.
Yeah. We will get you like a Catholic. We will get you the Catholic Nerds T-shirt.
Boom.
What? The must-have item of the season.
That none of us
Of the
have.
pandemic season.
And I mean, if you impress us more, we also have Catholic Nerds. Like, what is it,
Accessories,
leader
coffee
hoses?
mugs, totes.
No, the
leggings.
spandex, yoga pants. That's it.
Yoga
we also
pants.
Oh, we do?
Yes, we do
Yeah.
have Catholic nerd yoga pants.
What?
That's a thing.
Yeah.
But wait,
modeled
and
are they yoga
socks.
pants or are they Cathletics pants?
Ah.
Callan. Okay.
I didn't
All right.
know
So
that
here's the trivia question number 1. I Am Legend is actually the 3rd time this book has been made into a movie. What is the title of that book by Richard Matheson? The previous two iterations of this book were Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price and Omega Man with Charlton Heston. It's Charleston, right? Like
No. I don't
Charlton.
I think. Now I have to look it up.
Yeah.
I must.
No
Help
S.
me out.
No S. Charlton Heston.
Okay, we're gonna do. Is Charlton?
I think so.
Okay, we'll do a. If you can get the answer in 10 seconds, we will make you as famous as we can on this live stream.
All right. Here we go.
Anything? Got the Jeopardy music queued up?
Nope.
Wow, perfect.
I gotta say, there's not a mad dash to answer this question.
All right, that's about 10 seconds. The answer. Are you ready for that? Did anybody provide the answer?
Your
We've
mom,
got 2 answers so far.
Colby's mom said Charlton. That's her answer.
That's a good answer.
But actually, there's 2 more answers.
There are 2 answers to the question. So
There's someone answered Omega Man, and someone answered The Last Man. Now I have to look it up.
Okay, so this may, in retrospect, seem like a trick question, but the book on which I Am Legend, Omega Man, and Last Man on Earth were all based was I Am Legend.
Are you kidding? Well,
That
you're
good?
going to start
You
a
like that?
rebellion among our viewership.
I have a bonus question
Good.
that is Easter themed, sort of, in the Paschal sense. Okay, are y'all ready for this?
No.
What movie did Charlton Heston and Vincent Price, right, the stars of the previous Will Smith character stars, star in together?
Oh.
Is it the Ten Commandments?
Hey,
Oh.
Yes, it is.
Mary.
Do another one. I got so excited that I knew something.
No, it's good though.
Do another one.
Oh, I just can't make this stuff up like this.
So it's funny you say that. My wife, their Easter tradition every year is to watch that movie. So
It used
Same
to
with
come
my
on
wife.
the TV, I think, on Easter or on Palm Sunday.
Yeah, back before we
popular.
were even nation.
Oh my god.
I'm really sorry. Do it.
So Scott, since your memory is so good, let's talk about some Catholic themes in I Am Legend.
Oh, there are some really good God themes.
Let's hear it.
I just worry about them being more on the Buddhist-y side of things because they're all like the main motif is the butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the little kid at the beginning, his daughter, Marley, named after Bob Marley, of course, right? Is making like, oh, look, Daddy, it's a butterfly. And so the intro theme of the movie, so that when he sees the butterfly, which is created when Will Smith, the character Neville, sees the butterfly, that's how he knows that it's a message from God because his co-star has introduced this theme of trusting and listening to God's messages. And that's all cool. But there's, do y'all know about the alternate ending to I Am Legend?
we were talking about it. Yeah.
I was telling them that story before you joined. So
Cool. Do you want to pick it up with the two butterflies?
I'm trying to remember what part the butterfly was in the
Butterflies
alternate
have to do
ending.
Okay, so in the original cinematic ending, the butterfly is made by the not zombie, whatever the dark seekers, I think they're called, banging on the glass. It makes a butterfly. All right,
into the break in the glass. Right,
the break in the glass forms a butterfly, so that means something to Will Smith, and then he sees a butterfly tattoo on the co-star. I forget her name. And so he knows basically to give his blood, his redeeming blood, salvific blood, to the co-star to say, because he's got the antigens. The tattoo on her shoulder blade, though, reminds me a lot of Follow the White Rabbit from The Matrix, but that's not a Catholic thing. But regardless.
No.
The alternate ending, the butterfly is instead made with the dark seeker, the head dark seeker, with his blood.
Ooh.
And so Will Smith instead gets a message to give the dark seeker, the girlfriend of the bad guy, back to him.
Right. Oh, Father Brent, earmuffs.
Yeah. Oh yeah, spoiler.
All the spoilers. Is he frozen?
No, I think he might be
doesn't care.
He's in a prayerful state.
Oh, he tapped spoiler. Haha. Well, is it a spoiler though? If it's the alternate ending, it's not necessarily in the movie.
Wait, what was that?
I said, is it a spoiler if it's the alternate ending and not actually in the cinematic version?
It's a good question. Oh, I'm gonna.
What do our viewers think? Is it a spoiler if it's an alternate ending?
Also, is there like a statute of limitations on spoilers? Because like I want to talk about the Andromeda strain from 1973.
Yes, there is.
You had your chance, Father.
Don't ruin it for me, Scott.
Okay, Catholic trivia question. If we're gonna move on to Andromeda strain or not, which is cool, just
like it's cool. It's all right.
Who is the author of the Andromeda strain? I'm pretty sure this is.
Oh, I don't know this.
This is his first time one of his movies, or one of his books were made into a movie.
We can't hear the question.
Who the author was?
Okay.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. This is awesome.
Someone answered no.
No,
I think
no
that's
other.
the author.
Just no.
Is that the initials of your guess? Okay, so the author of the Andromeda strain is Michael Crichton.
What?
Isn't that cool?
That is cool. I'm gonna have to go check
Jurassic
it out now.
Park, Michael Crichton.
Jurassic Park. I just picked up a new book of his. I don't remember the title of it, but it's a dinosaur book.
Is
Wait,
it
what was that name?
Michael Crichton?
Michael Crichton.
That's not the
We
answer.
had one guess. We had one guess in the comment was J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Da-da-da.
And Isaac Asimov, which I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
And then my mom guessed Michael Crichton.
Oh, sweet.
Way to go!
He's getting closer to that Catholic Nerds t-shirt, which is good because she lives in town and no shipping and handling.
Boom.
Rachel
delivery.
Jacob
Did
got
get the 10 Commandments.
the 10 Commandments right.
Oh, nice. All right. So far for the showcase showdown, right? We've got Miss Angie and Rachel, you said?
Rachel Jacob.
Virtual high fives.
Maybe, yeah, virtual high fives. Maybe we should do it that whoever gets the most questions right. I don't know.
Well, we can have a showcase showdown like The Price is Right.
Is it a showcase showdown or a shirt case showdown?
Oh.
Can't do.
Colby, you got to wait a little longer for the dad jokes.
Okay, I'll just pop in next time and do the jokes.
I thought it was fantastic.
Dad joke.
Okay. So what were we talking about? Oh, we're talking
Any
about
more juice to squeeze out of I Am Legend? Anybody else have anything they wanted to?
I feel like I haven't seen it in forever.
Yeah.
I do think it is pertinent to. I do think it's pertinent to today about how he was in isolation for a very long time,
Mm-hmm.
and you could see his desperation and how he needed to interact with other people. So I think right now it's really important, not to get all serious, but people are stuck at home, and unless you're with family or you have a good connection with friends, to realize just how important human connection is.
Yeah.
Or you're essential.
Because I'm an introvert, right? And even though I work in an office with 30-something people, I don't talk to people that much in the office. But being home for 6 weeks and not being able to interact with my coworkers, I didn't realize how much I actually leaned on that and appreciated it. So, yeah, don't be lonely, people. Reach out, talk to your friends, like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
It's true.
And that's what's so sad when Neville's dog, right, gets the virus and dark sideifies, and then he has to strangle and kill his own dog. I mean, that was a really tough scene.
Yeah.
You know what else was really tough? When Cody just spilled a glass of ice water all over me. That was really
Hey, you'll be grateful for that when the aliens attack in the M. Night Shyamalan universe, and the water kills the alien.
Boom. There you go.
Yes.
Like Signs.
Yes. Which I actually saw Signs with Rachel Jacob. I don't know if she's still watching at her
This is very
15th birthday party, and we were all terrified.
Yeah, I remember seeing that movie growing up, and someone I know who I shall not name because I don't want to embarrass him was also deathly terrified of that movie.
Was it my wife?
And no, well, she might be, but that's not what I'm talking about.
I mean, it was pretty decently creepy.
It was.
It was scary.
One more theme I'd point out from I Am Legend is the fatherhood aspect of Neville's character, because what you find out is basically the triggering event for his trauma, and why he stays in Manhattan. He's a lone man in the island to try and reverse the virus, is that he had promised to protect his family, and his family dies. 2 helicopters collide and they die.
I know.
Which is really sad. But even in his recording, he sends out a recording constantly looping, like the French woman in Lost. He sends out this recording that's constantly looping, saying, "I can protect you. Basically, I can provide protection. You're not alone," which is exactly what he wants to be able to do, and what he feels he tragically has not, which is he wasn't able to protect his family, and now he is alone, except for his dog, which he has to strangle to death. So tragic.
So, Father, do you feel like you've seen the movie now?
Yeah. Something about a man, everyone dies, then he kills his dog, and then there's a butterfly in the window.
Yeah.
There's redemption and
So I want to hear Father's
Things like
take
that.
on the movie now. So
Yes.
Catholic themes.
Catholic themes throughout the movie, Father?
Yeah, based on that, I'm pretty confident in my placement of that movie as 10th ranked. As it kills his dog, and that's just no fun. That's. I mean, your other part's not good, Scott. I mean, you make good case, but killing his own dog, man, that's just. Whew. Yeah.
I like
Other than your synopsis provided earlier, you should not judge this movie by its title, which is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I like the
Not a
12 Angry Men aspect of the debate we're waging. And
5 angry people. 6.
Yes, she is a person too.
And she's angry.
trying to see what's number 2 on our list from our Catholic Nerds group. I lost it. I know 3 is still Sharknado. Oh no, it's actually moved up to number 2.
Oh, Sharknado!
The world hates us.
Drop us some Catholic richness of the gift of Sharknado to the world.
Yes. Okay. So Catholic giftness for the gift of Sharknado. Are we ready for this? Okay.
No, we're not.
So if you haven't seen the movie, I'm sorry, spoilers. But the way that they defeat the tornadoes, the Sharknadoes, is by throwing bombs into it. Okay? And so if you weren't aware, this is how you stop a tornado. You throw bombs into the tornado. Okay?
Especially if there's sharks.
And here's the thing. When you shoot a shark and it's in a tornado, it stops flying. Okay?
As though
Okay,
it
it
has.
loses
As
its
though
power
it's
of flight,
flying
or it
on
stops
its own
flying?
volition.
What
What did you say, Colby?
I said, so it loses its power of flight, or it stops
Exactly.
flying?
It loses
Basically.
power of
Even
flight.
though
So-
it was the tornado that was making
so-
it fly.
Yes, so that when the Sharknadoes do come, you can shoot
You're
them out
prepared.
of the sky. But the Catholic themes is really trust in the providence
Bombs.
of the Lord, because
Chainsaws.
seriously, they had a lot of trust to throw a bomb into a tornado that would take care of it.
Because that seems like that would make the problem worse, right?
That's what you.
Now you got sharks
Now you got it.
and bombs.
Bombs and sharks and flames. I mean, come
Yeah.
The
on.
sharks are on fire now.
Fiery shark in the tornado.
The fiery Sharknado. Yeah.
Hey, so before we leave I Am Legend forever, destroyed by tornadoes of sharks.
I like that
So
was
something
sufficient.
cool that I saw today in I Am Legend. It starts out with him in a Mustang commercial, basically, driving through the, for some reason, empty streets of Manhattan in a Mustang, and all of a sudden, bam! He's hit by this herd of deer, right?
Oh yeah.
And he goes hunting the deer, and he has one in his crosshairs, and he's about to fire, and bam! A lion attacks it, which is awesome. But deer versus lion, guess what movie poster is in the background up on the building, that the backdrop for this deer versus lion fight?
I know this and I forgot it.
This is crazy because the movie predicted this movie would come out 8 years before it came out.
Deer versus lion.
Is this a trivia question?
Yeah, it's trivia. Let's do that.
Yeah, let's to see that.
The verses is a clue. The verses is a clue.
Maybe we should do an abridged version of our.
Okay, so the verses was a clue. The deer versus lion. The movie.
Batman versus Superman.
Yes.
I remember now. Yes.
And even
seeing
despite this prediction, they were unable to stop that movie from coming out.
Which was absolutely terrible.
Unfortunately, and I know some people are really big fans of the DC universe, but I'm sorry, they've only done a good job on like a couple of their movies. Like their best one so far has been Wonder Woman.
Is Colby saying thumbs down to you saying that, or thumbs down to
DC movies?
DC movies?
Yeah.
Yeah, Wonder Woman was good.
Wonder Woman was actually really good, but
Yeah,
their other ones.
Wonder Woman was good.
What? Why did they do that?
Which one's good too?
Our kids
Our
are-
children are rebelling.
They don't like that you're dissing DC Comics movies.
Oh, well.
It's true.
Hey, so I don't know if he's watching, but we all have a mutual friend, Michael. That's a segue into. Does anybody know the name of the virus on I Am Legend?
Wasn't it? Wait, you want me to say it, or you want to have people put it in the comments?
I don't know if we should do another trivia thing so close.
Bum, 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 bum.
I want to say it was polio.
Well, okay, yeah. So I was going to do a trivia question about the type of virus later on. But the name of the virus in I Am Legend, do y'all know what it is?
Is it?
Wait, see if any of our users get it. Real
Well, you
quick.
brought up Michael.
Yeah.
So, is it?
Oh,
I don't know what's happening.
He brought up Michael. He said we all have a mutual friend named Michael. And speaking of him, do you know what the virus was, or the
name of the virus?
in I Am Legend? And I Am Legend?
Was it the Krippin virus?
It was the Krippin virus.
it was. It was.
Nice.
Sorry,
I
Michael.
thought that was pretty cool. Okay, so Colby, what's your favorite pandemic movie?
Well, my favorite one is I'm Legend, but on the
Oh, damn.
list, the only other one that I've seen would be Contagion.
Oh yeah, is that Mary's favorite?
It's the only one. I've seen I Am Legend, but that was 10 years ago.
Yes, we specifically watched Contagion because of this podcast.
There's a plane flying like
I don't know if y'all can hear our plane, but it's our plane, right?
I thought your house was launching.
Maybe, so there's
Scott
hardly,
posted on Monday that we were going to have a podcast on pandemic movies on Wednesday.
and we were like, okay.
Let's do this. So we found the fastest one we could find, which was Contagion. And holy cow.
Yeah.
Father, have you seen Contagion? No, you haven't. You haven't seen any of these.
Well, Kobe, talk about it.
I remember when it first came out. So years ago, my cousin and I used to go see movies in theater all the time, and I remember when it came out, we saw it and leaving, and it was one of those things where you know it's a movie, but at the same time you're like, that could happen. And so I remember recently, whenever the news started hitting and spreading and people started talking about it, I'm like, I guarantee you, within the next week, all my recommended YouTube videos are going to be Contagion movie clips.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they started popping up. But yeah, no, it's. I mean, if anybody hasn't seen it, say spoiler alert, but you're years behind, so we're past that prescription period.
And you're living it, so.
Right. So Matt Damon, right? Him and his wife, she travels abroad for her work, and
Gwyneth
she comes
Paltrow.
home and Gwyneth Paltrow, right? Comes home and she starts feeling ill, takes to the hospital, and then randomly she just is not with him anymore. And then it seems like as the movie progresses, it gets faster and faster, but there's scenes of how, the CDC tries to investigate and see where it comes from, and then working with pharmaceuticals to develop vaccine. It's like all these things that we talk about today in the news was already in this movie script years and years ago. So of course the virus that's portrayed in the movie is completely different than what we have today. But the mode of how it spreads and just how dangerous an event like that can be, it can be frightening if you're not, not prepared or aware of it.
It originates in China.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a respiratory illness.
And there's questions of if it was actually a weapon. Like, that's never established, but it's like, oh, could this possibly
Which it'll
be?
Probably never be established today either.
Right.
So
like one way or the other.
Yeah, one way or the other.
And one competing theory for the origin of the virus was that a bat, right?
It was, bat germs. Yeah.
Bat germs eaten by a pig. Chef didn't wash his hands.
I don't know if you watch the sequence in the movie, they're very, very detailed and descriptive as to where and how it came from.
Right. And we were like, why didn't the chef get it? But the chef he's always touching raw meat, so maybe he doesn't
Never
touch his face.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's what Kate Winslet is, the representative from the CDC in the movie. And one of the things she says at the beginning is like, we touch our face like 4 billion times a day. I mean, it's, like a ridiculous number. Like what, 400, 4,000, something like that.
I think it was 4,000 or something near that.
And then she's like using her cell phone later, like rubbing it all over her face and stuff. She dies.
Spoiler.
Yeah. She doesn't get off that Titanic.
So Mary noticed something interesting in this movie.
I don't know that it's going to be interesting to anyone, but okay. Jane Austen fans out there.
We're talking Kate Winslet, Sense and Sensibility?
This movie had not one, not two,
Hold your horses,
but 3 Jane Austen leading ladies in it.
Oh,
and
God.
One of them so Gwyneth Paltrow was Emma.
Yeah.
Kate Winslet was Marianne Dashwood. And the worker at the CDC.
Should we do a trivia question?
The woman at the CDC who finds the vaccine is an actress who I've seen in only 2 other things, one of them being a Jane Austen movie.
So you're asking what was the Jane Austen movie that she starred in?
Oh, that'll be a big giveaway.
Well, I mean, she only wrote like 5 novels. One was unfinished.
This is one of only 2 things I've seen her in besides Pride and Prejudice with Colin Firth.
Oh, you asking for the actress?
No one's gonna know her name.
Oh, okay.
I don't think, because she's only in, the only thing I've seen her in is The King's Speech and Pride and Prejudice, and now this. I guess what character does she play? But people are gonna know that.
Not answering your question, but
she's in
side humor. I don't know if you've seen the memes of all the Pride and Prejudice. People back in the day already were doing social distancing. It's all the romantic scenes where they're standing like 10 feet apart.
Social distance, like you have to stand 6 feet apart, or you might embrace, and yeah.
And they actually use the term social distancing in the movie Contagion.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. They talk about it. It's kind of creepy.
OMG, Ashton knows her name, like the actress's name.
Yeah, she was looking. Yeah.
Well,
we
it helps
about her while we watched the movie together.
It helps that Pride and Prejudice is 5 hours long, so there's 6 episodes, and at the beginning of each, her name writes slowly across the screen. So if you're like us and have watched it like 30 times.
By us, you mean Mary and Ashton?
Yes, me and Ashton.
I may have seen it once.
Her name's
Mary
Jennifer.
and Dashwood.
Jennifer Eel. I don't know how to pronounce it. Good job, Ashton.
Yay.
Virtual high five.
Showcase showdown.
So I have a question for Father, and I'll say to turn into a more serious note, but as a priest, I know a lot of people have had a lot of concerns and questions about sacraments, in this current time, and how the bishops would, make their decisions. And I guess as a priest, you probably get direct communication from the diocese. How do you feel as a priest not really being able to reach out to your parishioners or your people being able to come to Mass?
It's weird. It's weird. I'll say that. Priests are doing what they can do. I think in most spots, I know some guys are doing video things, and we've kind of embraced, I guess, an older school method. We do FM radio transmission from the front porch of the office.
Nice.
And it's a little short distance radio, so it reaches out basically like the property. Can sit safely isolated in their vehicles, and like tonight we had Q&A Wednesday, so people were able to text me questions, and we were having stuff like that, and we did benediction from the front porch this past Sunday for Divine Mercy, and we do rosaries and that kind of stuff, which is it's not the same as having mass with the community and all those kind of things, but it's at least being able to, as you kind of mentioned earlier, being able to actually see parishioners, at least a handful of them, making some connections and being able to feel something like human, something like a priest. Because for the first week, I kind of just sat there looking around going like, so what do I do now? Because 95% of my ministry as a priest is, with other people.
Social.
Mass or confession or sacramental preparation or all kinds of other things. And so it's like, well, when I can't do that, what do we do?
Wow. Yeah.
So it's a lot of it is partly kind of getting to what's the meaning of the priesthood, what's the central mystery of the Mass, of understanding that the Mass is effective, even though the community can't be there, and they're still receiving the grace of that. And so trying to remember that for myself and remind the community of the value of the sacraments, that that the Lord is bigger than we often kind of think in a lot of ways. So certainly, and then just a lot of ways of kind of stretching our Catholic mind and embracing things of our faith that haven't traditionally been super strongly emphasized, like spiritual communions and perfect acts of contrition, and
right.
What's the can you do confession over the phone? Some of those kind of questions that just are not normally addressed so much.
Right.
It's been really great to see a lot of the creativity of a lot of priests and different ministers in the community, to see how they react and what they do to provide for their people, for their congregation, and obviously not being stupid and saying, hey, still everyone come to the service, and I'm not gonna. Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, we'll leave it at that. But so it's just been really interesting to see the different creative ways that priests have taken to this post-corona, I guess not quite post-corona environment, but
mid-corona.
Yeah, mid-coronavirus environment. So I'm. It'd be great to hear more of those stories. If anyone, any of our viewers have any other stories of what your priest or ministers are doing to help bring your spiritual life, or what you and your family might be doing, help bring your spiritual life forward in this time. So please share those with us. And, if we'll get some really cool ideas, we'll throw them up here later by, saying.
We have a whole podcast on that.
Yeah, maybe do a podcast on it. That'd be awesome.
Father Brent's like, that would have been a great one for me to guest star.
I guess that means we got to get you back.
Enjoying the
one thing I've seen
discussion personally, but
one thing I've seen here that's been pretty heartwarming is how not every parish has the ability to stream their Mass.
Mm-hmm.
And so, at least in the Diocese of Lafayette, there are a few parishes that do that on a regular basis, and so they've kind of stepped up. And then the neighboring or the other parishes that don't have that ability have not been trying to compete, but they're actually promoting, parishioners, hey, even if we don't offer that, please, here are some ways that you can stay connected, to these services in a way. So I think that's been heartwarming too, to see parishes not really competing, but more trying to, again, offer time and attention to parishioners where they can give it.
And maybe we should mention that, something that is not happening right now is collections at churches.
Yeah.
So to
Yeah.
those so to those watching, like to consider sending in, like, if you don't have your donations set up so that they go in through the mail,
Send
to
in
maybe
the
start
regular
doing
donations.
because that's how parishes survive. You know, it's how they pay
Right.
their bills.
Right.
Word.
So I
We have a
had a question for Father. So this year with the Mid Immaculata, we shameless plug for Mid Immaculata. We did, for the first time, I actually remembered to do the Divine Mercy Novena, starting on Good Friday, and ending Easter Saturday, and the plenary indulgence that comes with that. Are we able to receive that if we can't go to confession? Does spiritual communion count for that?
I know there was some communiques from the Vatican regarding, or from the Apostolic Penitentiary, which is the one that handles indulgences and this kind of thing, that they put out basically an announcement, kind of effectively saying, the requirement for reception of Holy Communion basically is as soon as you can, recognizing that it might be months from now. And not wanting to say, well, sorry, you can't receive communion, so all indulgences are all cut off until further notice. Basically because we, the church, that we have the keys to the kingdom, so we kind of can set the bar where it's still able to be reached by the faithful, and that's one of the things that's been generously given is in fact all, I think they're saying, is all the plenary indulgences that can be gained. And I know Pope Francis indicated some of praying the Divine Mercy Chaplet, or praying for people who have virus, and it was like different concessions of if you're in quarantine, here's what you can do. If you're sick, here's what you can do. And it had kind of different categories of recognizing people are kind of in different places and different abilities, just as far as what they can actually do in a physical sense, but also just the availability of the sacraments and these kind of things. So yeah, basically it's under the usual conditions. I mean, you do the stuff you normally do with just the resolution to get to communion and confession when you can.
Because isn't canon that at the minimum we're supposed to receive once a year during the Easter season?
Yeah.
So it's just.
I think it says once a year, typically during the Easter season. I think it says. Or maybe that's where I'm reading it from somewhere else. But
No, I think that's right. I mean, what do I know?
Once this year.
Masters in theology, Scott, masters in theology, Father, a priest. Colby, what theology degree do you have?
I got a certificate.
Hey.
I got a few certificates.
There you
What
go.
was it? So there's another novena coming up, which is a cool one for the church to pray together. The Novena to the Holy Spirit, which begins on the Friday after Ascension, right? Is that right? And then so they'll end on Pentecost. 9 days later is Pentecost.
Yeah.
So the day that the Holy Spirit comes, we'll have concluded that Novena to the Holy Spirit. Father, what were you going to say on that?
It's for the traditional, like if you observe the Ascension on Thursday, it's the Friday that follows. But most dioceses observe Ascension Thursday, Sunday. So Thursday to Sunday. So if you were to do it the following Friday, you would only get 2 days into your novena, and they'd be like, the Holy Spirit would be like, surprise, a week early. And you're like, totally caught off guard. I only got 2 of the gifts. So it's
Knowledge not being one of them.
It's somewhere in that ascension sandwich of Thursday and Sunday, the Friday between there.
And that's where novena comes from in the first place, because it's the 9 days of waiting from when the Lord ascends to when he sends his Holy Spirit. So that's also cool. That's like the prototype novena. Proto-novena.
Edition.
Yes. The OG novena.
Nice.
I'm making, these are like dad jokes now, aren't they?
We got to pop off screen and then pop back in when you pitch that joke.
Because
I hate to be the Debbie Downer, but I think we're getting a little late, and it looks like some of our viewers are starting to kind of log off. So,
Bedtime.
if we want to start wrapping
it's
up,
getting to that time. Huh? Well, let's wrap up with the pandemic movies real quick, and any other trivia Scott might have for us.
Oh, weren't y'all, Cody and Mary, weren't y'all going to talk about your GoFundMe?
Oh, yes.
Were we?
Briefly. Yes.
This is new information.
Well, Mary, you're better at talking about this than I am. So.
Okay. So because of the COVID-19 situation, of course, everyone knows the hospitals are really stretched to their limits, and also for women who are.
They're doing great work in the hospital.
Yeah, they're doing
fantastic work. So it's nothing against
right, but like resources
but the resources are depleted.
Resources are stretched to capacity. And people are working like incredibly long hours and everything. So, and in addition to that, it's just not really an ideal environment right now. If you don't have to be there, it's not somewhere that you really want to wander into, especially in labor, So for pregnant women who they're not necessarily at higher risk of dying from coronavirus, but it can cause complications in birth and in labor and all sorts of things. It's basically, for a lot of women, they're wanting to avoid, women like me, are wanting to avoid being in the hospitals right now for birth. And so we made the decision, and a lot of women are making the decision to switch to home birth, which is not like, I think some people hear that and they think like, that still happens. That's a thing. And it's completely legal. There's licensed medical professionals who do that. That like the state knows what they're doing. The medical board knows what they're doing and has approved of all of this. And of course they only do it like with a ton of due diligence to make sure that the women who are doing home birth, they're not going to let you do it unless you are really like really low risk, like the lowest of the low risk. They do so much basically investigating of your condition to make sure that there's no red flags for you. But the thing is that insurance does not cover home births right now.
Most insurances don't. Yeah. Blue Cross Blue Shield just started covering it for federal employees. Which is kind of cool because it kind of gives away the fact that this is a legitimate thing. Like this is a legitimate choice for women. And this really should be like kind of a bipartisan issue, like, and between like pro-choice and pro-life people. Yeah. Because, choice, like this is a situation where women aren't really having equal access to all the choices that they might want to have for birth care. So we have a GoFundMe that some friends started to help us with the cost of our home birth, which went amazing. And we really think we're probably going to do it again. We never probably would have had the courage to try it if we hadn't been in this situation. But because we did try it, now we're kind of hooked on it. And it was so peaceful and it was so wonderful, like being in our own home. And we had already made like 24 hours of memories with our kids and with the baby when we would have still been in the hospital last time. Anyway, so we're raising money for other families too who have chosen this, and we know of at least 5 other families in the area who made a last minute switch to home birth after, like, with everything that's happened.
So
and the cost can range from $3,500 to $6,500
yeah,
in order to pay for the home birth, and insurance doesn't cover that. So for especially families like ours, it was a last minute decision. It was like,
so it wasn't something
we were saving up for. We weren't preparing for it financially. Right. We of course we have an emergency bucket, but it was like that would have depleted our emergency bucket. And now we're getting further into this COVID-19 pandemic, and having to dip into the emergency bucket. So praise God for our friends who set this up for us. That allowed us to really take the time to be a family for these
to not be stressed out
and not be stressed out about the finances.
Well, we'd really like to raise money for other
families
too.
So please go to the GoFundMe, which
I guess we could post the link.
We'll post the link.
Post the link in the show notes.
The comments.
And we're also hoping that this might be a moment in time that kind of shifts the tide of that there might be either a state law or a federal law passed to mandate that insurance cover it.
Yeah.
Because in a situation like this, that would have been pretty great if, for women to have that easy choice to know like option. I can do this and it's not a financial burden on my family, So yeah. Thank you guys.
Thanks for sharing.
Awesome. Also,
it's all worth it.
Ashton and I published a new prayer journal. Pray, hope, and don't worry after St. Pio's quote. So this is it. If you're interested, it's about the size of my head. We'll put the link to that in the comments and show notes too. Any last thoughts, y'all?
I feel like I had some. But they're gone.
Well, we'll still be around.
Yeah. Let's see.
We're glad that everyone's here, and it's been rough, but I feel like, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but like I think it's helped us really kind of, recenter our lives a bit, and our prayers go out to everybody, because we know people who have lost people to this, and also particularly praying that for people who have lost loved ones who died alone. That's been something that's really been tearing at my heart with all of this. Is I know we need to take safety precautions, but I really wish they could figure out some way to at least have one relative with people as they're dying, especially since in most cases I would imagine that they're already exposed. That, you know what I'm saying? Like the next of kin probably was already with them. So it's not like they haven't been exposed to the virus already. So just, I don't know, like we're praying for everybody, and we're also praying that like things would get better and that everything would be done the best way possible that it could be.
If those of you who are still with us, if y'all want to comment on what y'all like to maybe hear us nerd out about next time, or if you would like to nerd out with us on a particular topic, please let us know in the comments. We love having guests on. Father Brent, I want to thank you for joining us this week on Catholic Nerds, and thank you for your insight, especially for the movies, the pandemic movies. It was great to have you here, and
your knowledge,
your wisdom. What was that?
To offer my wisdom for you. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
It is expansive.
Valuable.
All right.
Wait, should we maybe give a shout out to all the people who got a question right?
Oh yeah.
Since we
y'all do that, I don't remember all.
Here. Take the human.
I'll take the human. Little human. It's upset.
So I know Ashton got one.
What?
Ashton, Miss Angie, Rachel. So okay. So for our showcase showdown, those three, if they're still watching,
there was Rachel Jacob too.
That's what I said. Rachel Jacob.
Oh, you said her. I'm sorry.
The last question. Let's see. The last question is, I've been teasing it all night. What disease virus? What virus was paired with was used to cure cancer and create a worldwide pandemic of zombie-like things in I Am Legend?
Oh, we covered that already.
No, we never actually said it. Or maybe just if I did say it, just a review if you were watching. Pop quiz.
Okay.
Okay. Did anybody get any of our contestants?
Nope. Well,
I
no one
guess.
said anything.
That's about the same.
It happens.
3 people said Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
That was
I
a
guess
few
we're gonna show
minutes
Lord of the
ago.
Rings.
Including Father Brent.
That was a few minutes ago.
Guess that's our next topic.
Miss Angie, Colby's mom, said polio.
Oh yeah, that's a good guess. Good guess.
All
Wrong.
right, so I said polio earlier, but I was wrong.
Oh yeah.
She's loyal.
Yeah, that's right.
She says no.
She's
that was
backing her
it.
son up.
Thanks, Mom.
So the virus was measles.
It was measles.
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 Yep.
Those little weasels. All right. So thanks for nerding out with us, the Catholic nerds. This is Scott Smith.
And Colby Allen.
Mary Reed
And Cody Reed.
and
Father Brent.
Father Brent, I thought there's another human there though.
Oh, and Therese Reed.
on her flagship podcast.
Yes. And she's
So-
just staring off in the distance.
Be sure to follow our Facebook group, join the Facebook group,
Yes.
and be sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes. And
Yeah, and
Spotify
check out our
and all
page
the-
on Teespring where we have awesome Catholic apparel, Catholic nerd apparel.
And maybe you
t-shirts
might
and
be
tote
the lucky
bags.
winner next time
Dun,
of some
dun,
of that
dun.
apparel.
Yeah, and we'll be posting some stuff on our Facebook page about the Teesprings and the Patreon to help move this podcast and make it better.
Woo!
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Jazz hands.
peace out.
Is it actually going to stop, or is it going to? Oh,
We're live
I wasn't
forever.
activated to the jazz hands. Bye, guys.